Man's Search for Meaning is one of the most influential and enduring classics of 20th century psychological and philosophical literature. Written by Viktor E. Frankl, an Austrian neurologist, psychiatrist, and Holocaust survivor. The book is a highly gripping description of life within Nazi concentration camps, as well as the psychological tactics that permitted some prisoners, including Frankl himself, to live against insurmountable odds. The book, originally published in 1946 as Ein Psychologe Erlebt das Konzentrationslager, a psychologist experiences the concentration camp, was later translated into English and received widespread recognition. More than a narrative, man's desire for meaning is a profound reflection on the nature of human suffering, the desire for purpose, and the human spirit's ability to endure and transcend. It has subsequently sold over 12 million copies and been translated into more than 20 languages. The book is broken into two major sections. The first section is Frankl's personal account of his experiences as a prisoner in Auschwitz and other concentration camps during World War II. He describes the daily horrors of camp life, deprivation, brutality, and dehumanization, and, more importantly, investigates how prisoners psychologically coped with their circumstances. This eyewitness story is uncompromising and horrific, yet also genuinely sympathetic and contemplative. The second section introduces Frankl's psychological theory, which he called logotherapy. Logotherapy, which is based on existential analysis, assumes that the ultimate motivating force in humans is the quest of meaning rather than pleasure, as Freud contended, or power, as Adler offered. According to Frankl, even in the most severe and degrading circumstances, people can find meaning in their suffering, and this quest for meaning can lead to psychological resilience and inner liberation. Frankl's findings encourage readers to re-examine their definitions of fulfillment and happiness, and to accept the idea that significance can be found not just in joy or achievement, but also in responsibility, sorrow, and moral decision. His message, that life has purpose in all circumstances, including the most oppressing ones, is as relevant today as it was when it was first penned. This summary seeks to convey the key concepts and emotional depth of man's search for meaning, providing a succinct yet thorough account of its narrative and philosophical components. It will look at Frankl's camp experiences, the evolution of logotherapy, and the ongoing significance of his concepts in modern life. Viktor Frankl's time in concentration camps. Viktor Frankl, a World War II concentration camp survivor, authored an autobiography titled Man's Search for Meaning, in which he describes his personal experiences while imprisoned. Despite his loss and anguish, Frankl observed that people have an innate desire for purpose and meaning, which may even outweigh the most dire circumstances. Frankl's narrative is filled with heartbreaking ambiguity due to the horrible deaths of individuals close to him. Nonetheless, it provides an example of the human spirit's ability to thrive in the face of great adversity. The book also discusses logotherapy, a psychological paradigm that stemmed from his time in the camps. This approach transformed modern psychology, emphasizing the importance of finding meaning in difficult situations. Millions of people have found consolation in Man's Search for Meaning, which depicts how free will allows us to choose how we respond to each situation, regardless of the circumstances. In the end, Viktor Frankl's narrative demonstrates that our troubles do not define us. Rather, suffering creates a sense of purpose that propels our life. As Frankl famously stated, life without meaning is like a book without words, empty and pointless. The significance of meaning in life. Finding purpose in life is a fundamental human goal. In this article segment, we will look at the significance of meaning and how it may give life purpose, passion, and fulfillment. Our discussion will focus on finding meaning in work, love, and courage during challenging circumstances, and how each can affect our general well-being and resilience. Meaning in labor, love, and courage in challenging situations. Viktor E. Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning investigates the three pillars of life, labor, love, and bravery, and how they help to finding meaning, especially during tough times. Frankl observed in concentration camps that individuals with a feeling of purpose were more likely to survive. Keeping busy with work offered them a sense of usefulness. Connecting with and loving others offered emotional support and resilience. Even in the midst of adversity, showing courage brought hope. When it comes to finding purpose in life, these three foundations are extremely important. Work produces tangible results, as well as satisfaction with our development. Love provides us with immense fulfillment when we can connect deeply with people and form meaningful relationships. Having courage allows us to overcome difficulties. Finally, Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning illuminates the importance of engaging in activities that give our lives purpose. Work-related initiatives and caring for others can help you develop resilience, especially in difficult situations. Finally, as Frankl asserts, we have the ability to govern our reactions to every situation, taking control of attitude and response. What if we told you that the ability to control one's attitude and response to a given situation is the ultimate human freedom? In this section of Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl, we explore the power of taking control of our attitudes, even in difficult circumstances. In this subsection, we'll explore how Frankl's experiences in Nazi concentration camps led him to believe that our attitude is the only thing that can never be taken away. The last human freedom, adopting an attitude in each given situation. Humans have ultimate freedom, the ability to select our attitude in any situation. This is our last opportunity for freedom. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl emphasizes its importance. Even when we are denied our rights and dignity, we have choice over how we respond to a circumstance. Frankl encourages us to adopt a positive mindset so that we can find significance in tough situations. Our attitude toward difficulties decides whether we sink or swim. He also emphasizes that taking responsibility for our actions and decisions, regardless of our external circumstances, makes us stronger. We can turn suffering into an opportunity for personal development. Frankl's book delivers a message of hope. Even in difficult situations, we may grow resilience and discover long-term enjoyment by choosing our attitudes carefully and consciously. Meaning provides direction in life. Without it, we are lost. Finding meaning, the primary motivating force in man. Humans are driven by the desire to find significance in their lives. This section explores Viktor E. Frankl's belief that the true meaning of life can be found in our surroundings. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl encourages us to look beyond ourselves and uncover the broader purpose of our existence. The ultimate meaning of life can be discovered in the world. Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning tells us that life's essential purpose lies inside. It's an inward mission that we must complete on our own. If we contemplate and explore, we can discover our own way. According to Frankl, happiness comes from living a meaningful life. Fulfillment leads to contentment. Even misery can be turned into an opportunity for progress. To discover significance, he suggested that we focus on three things: work, love, and suffering. These can help us feel more purposeful and satisfied. Frankl's own experiences in concentration camps demonstrate that the true meaning of life must be discovered via personal discovery and exploration. This allows us to experience higher happiness and well-being. Happiness is a byproduct of living a meaningful life. Living a purposeful life can provide satisfaction. Viktor E. Frankl wrote Man's Search for Meaning, which outlines how people might discover importance in their lives by adopting a meaning-focused approach. Frankl's experiences as a Holocaust survivor inspired him to develop the Logotherapy philosophy, which emphasizes the importance of finding meaning in each person's life. Life fulfillment comes from seeking a feeling of purpose rather than pursuing pleasure. People can discover their life's purpose by expressing themselves creatively, helping others, and accepting life's obstacles. This meaning-centered approach can help people feel the joy and happiness that come with living a meaningful life. Recognize your own journey, even when experiencing adversity, and you will discover a feeling of purpose and, eventually, delight. For example, when in a Nazi camp, Frankl discovered immense meaning and purpose in life by providing support and hope to his fellow captives. As a result, recognizing one's true purpose in life can considerably improve one's life quality and lead to genuine pleasure. Frankl's logotherapy philosophy emphasizes the ability of individuals to make sense of any situation, regardless of their circumstances. Even while happiness is fleeting, people can find long-term purpose and contentment by seeking meaning in their lives. This, in turn, can lead to happiness as a result of living a meaningful life. Suffering ceases when given meaning. According to Viktor E. Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, we might alleviate our suffering by giving it a purpose. He discovered in concentration camps that those who did had greater endurance than those who did not. This is because how we interpret our suffering influences how we react to it. Instead of feeling like a victim, we can channel our pain to accomplish something bigger. Everyone's quest to find meaning in suffering is unique. To accomplish this, we must reflect, seek social support, and explore opportunities for personal growth. Reflection will assist us in identifying and applying lessons learned. Social support provides a sense of belonging and emotional stability. Finally, personal growth possibilities might help us achieve the importance we seek. When suffering is given meaning, it becomes less intense. It transforms into an opportunity for advancement and a more fulfilling life. Those who find meaning in their pain can deal better than those who do not. Reflecting, finding social support, and looking for personal development possibilities can all help us find purpose in our pain. 3 lessons from Viktor Frankl's book. In Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor E. Frankl reveals 3 transforming lessons from his stay in a Nazi concentration camp. Each subsection delves into a distinct approach of finding purpose and meaning in life, even in the darkest of circumstances. Frankl's work provides a new perspective on personal growth and resilience, from the importance of surrendering to death to discovering the unique meaning of one's own life. He introduces the concept of paradoxical purpose as a tool for overcoming phobias, highlighting the relevance of Frankl's lessons in modern life. Surrendering to death may be the only way to survive. In dire circumstances, surrendering to death may be the only way to survive. Some detainees were too weak and mentally weary to continue, giving up hope and dying. However, those who found purpose and meaning in their life chose to die. This gave them control over their destiny and enabled them to leave this planet with dignity. Surrender to death does not imply giving up on life or losing hope. It is accepting the unavoidable consequence when there are no other choices. Acceptance can bring a person's serenity, allowing them to approach their death with dignity. Every path is unique. There are various periods and circumstances in which one may choose to fight or surrender. Frankl shows us that finding meaning and purpose in life can help us find strength even during the most difficult moments. Every life has its own meaning. Frankl argues that everyone serves their own function. He discovered that seeking meaning saved him alive in extermination camps. Those who found significance in their pain were better able to survive. It is critical to realize one's uniqueness and seek meaning inside oneself. Frankl contends that finding meaning is the primary motivator. It provides guidance and enables people to realize their best potential. To escape nihilism, people must define their own meanings. People can find meaning in their work, love, or pain. These paths serve as starting points for discovering one's purpose. Everyone's life has a unique purpose that cannot be substituted. Discovering this is critical for leading a fulfilling life. And who needs therapy when you can laugh your fears away with a paradoxical intention? Using paradoxical intention can help alleviate concerns. Paradoxical intention is an effective way to overcome people's worries. It entails focusing on the inverse of your anxiety, which diminishes it and reduces the fear. Viktor Frankl, author of Man's Search for Meaning, demonstrates how this strategy helps to reduce panic, particularly when dread is excessive. According to Frankl, paradoxical intention is confronting one's greatest fear on purpose. For example, a person who is afraid of public speaking can overcome this anxiety by looking for opportunities to speak in public. This allows the person to regulate their fear rather than feeling powerless. Interestingly, during World War II, Frankl employed this strategy while imprisoned in a concentration camp. He suffered from nightmares and insomnia as he was afraid of being separated from his wife. Instead of striving to suppress his thoughts, he intentionally focused on having nightmares about her. Though it sounds unusual, It helped him confront his worries full on, resulting in a decrease in his uneasiness. Logotherapy is a kind of psychology that emphasizes finding meaning to alleviate psychological pain. People can control and eventually overcome their phobias by adopting paradoxical purpose. Logotherapy in modern psychology. Logotherapy has gained popularity in modern psychology. Viktor E. Frankl, a neurologist and Holocaust survivor, developed it to help people find meaning and purpose in their lives. Humans are driven by a quest for purpose, and a lack of it can cause mental disease. Rather than treating symptoms, logotherapy assists individuals in discovering their particular abilities and beliefs. This helps individuals achieve inner serenity and pleasure. Psychologists may mix logotherapy with other therapies, such as cognitive behavioral therapy, to improve outcomes. One example of logotherapy's success is the story of a woman who was struggling after her spouse died. Logotherapy helped her discover her essential values, including family, spirituality, and nature. By focusing on these, she discovered meaning and conquered her mental health challenges. Logotherapy is a valuable method for addressing mental health issues. It focuses on finding meaning and purpose in life, giving people control over their lives, and assisting them in overcoming obstacles. Concentration camp inmates go through 3 mental stages. Viktor E. Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning explores the human psyche during extreme suffering in concentration camps. This section examines the 3 mental stages of convicts and how they dealt with their circumstances. From the initial shock of arriving to the apathy and emotional death that followed, to the disillusionment that came after liberation, we'll look at these stages and the human experience of dealing with the unfathomable. Shock on arriving. Inmates at concentration camps experienced shock. They were deprived of their identity and rights. The guards tortured and controlled them as they were crammed into overcrowded, unsanitary living quarters. Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning discusses shock's physical and mental impacts. Inmates found it difficult to comprehend the situation and derive meaning from it. They felt numb and disconnected from themselves and others. However, some saw hope and courage in their suffering. Isolation provided opportunities for spiritual introspection and inner tranquility. Survivors of the camps detailed torture that drove some detainees to suicide. Frankl realized that without purpose, apathy and emotional death are imminent. Apathy and emotional death. In concentration camps, detainees faced emotional distress. Initially, shock and confusion set in. Then a more deadly phase began: apathy and emotional death. This stage was characterized by startling indifference and a proclivity to give up hope. Victims separated and lost their desire to life. Frankl discovered that in order to overcome this stage, people must acknowledge that they still have options, not to end suffering, but to manage it so that it does not control them. It is critical to identify this stage and actively work to overcome it. This allows for the discovery of significance even in the darkest circumstances of life. Independence and personal independence can be preserved. After surviving the horrors of a concentration camp, disillusionment may arise when it becomes clear that the world outside is not as meaningful as previously assumed. Disillusionment following emancipation. Liberation from concentration camps resulted in disillusionment. Inmates were unprepared for the dramatic changes that happened during captivity, resulting in indifference and emotional death. According to Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, inmates lose their sense of self-worth or life purpose as a result of great suffering. The disappointment stemmed primarily from a lack of purpose within the camp. Work, care, and compassion were no longer effective methods of survival. Frankl argues that recovery from this trauma requires spiritual guidance and a new objective in life. True freedom was hard to obtain for many released convicts. Emptiness and misery persisted, fueled by recollections of past cruelty. Some found meaning in realizing that everyone, including those who have suffered, needs a purpose. To achieve full freedom, an individual must recognize this and take control of their attitudes, emphasizing good activities. Philosophy of finding meaning in life. When it comes to seeking purpose in life, there are several philosophies and ways to consider. In this section, We will look at the philosophy of finding purpose through suffering, as well as the idea of ultimate freedom and the option to choose one's own path. We'll explore how Viktor E. Frankl's man's search for meaning might apply to our lives and affect our feeling of purpose. Choosing to be a better person while suffering. Suffering can lead to a critical decision. This decision influences understanding of the meaning of suffering. Individuals can gain control of their attitude and behavior to a circumstance by determining its meaning. This can result in personal transformation. This new perspective has the potential to foster growth and development. Frankl referred to this as the last human freedom, the ability to select one's attitude in any given situation. Choosing to be a better person in the face of adversity requires seizing chances and pushing outside of one's comfort zone. Accepting traumatic occurrences and learning from them can help us develop emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. Frankl suffered enormous anguish and loss at the Auschwitz concentration camp. However, he chose not to live a useless existence. He turned his hardships into something greater. Choosing to become a better person while suffering is a conscious decision. It stresses growth and development over simply surviving difficult times. Complete freedom to select one's own course. Logotherapy, as proposed by Viktor Frankl in Man's Search for Meaning, is based on the principle of ultimate freedom to choose one's own path. Frankl believed that this core of human living is critical for discovering the purpose of life, even in difficult situations such as those faced by concentration camp survivors. Logotherapy teaches us that even if we cannot control our external environment, we can still choose how we respond to it. Even in the most difficult circumstances, we may discover a reason by accepting responsibility for our actions and taking control of our lives. Frankl's philosophy provides guidance to individuals facing life's challenges. Through his own concentration camp stories, Frankl demonstrated how he found meaning in his situation. Frankl's belief in our ultimate freedom to select our own paths exemplifies his belief that everyone, regardless of circumstance, has the ability to have a meaningful life. We can achieve long-term happiness and peace by taking control of our emotions to external difficulties. Whether through work, love, or pain, we all have the ability to carve our own paths to fulfillment and purpose. 3 ways to discover meaning in life. Life can be difficult, and it's normal to question what it all means. In this section, we will look at 3 common ways that people try to find meaning in their lives. We'll explore how work, love, and pain can all offer distinct types of purpose and fulfillment. Viktor E. Frankl's thoughts from Man's Search for Meaning provide helpful direction for those seeking personal meaning and fulfillment. Work. Viktor Frankl's logotherapy theory urges people to find meaning in their lives via work. Rather than just laboring for survival, it is critical to make employment meaningful. This can help us overcome sorrow and find happiness. Work adds structure and purpose to our lives. It gives us a sense of success and the opportunity to constructively impact society. When we perform something that is consistent with our ideals, we feel more fulfilled. Participating in meaningful activities can be a type of therapy for overcoming negative emotions like despair and anxiety. By focusing on tasks that provide us joy and satisfaction, we may divert our attention away from negative ideas. Frankl discovered that people who had meaningful jobs in concentration camps were more resilient than those who did not. Thus, it is critical to find significance in one's labor, no matter how tiny. Some recommendations include finding work that resonates with your values or looking for deeper meaning in your existing job by considering how it affects others. Finally, finding a purpose in your profession can motivate you to succeed while also benefiting society. Love. Frankl believed that love is vital for finding purpose in life, particularly during difficult times. Loving others provides us the motivation to live and solve problems. Our love for others can inspire us to be brave and selfless, giving our lives more purpose. Love, courage, and hard labor come together to find meaning. It is a tremendous strength that helps us manage hardships and keeps hope alive when we don't know what to do. True love is about being devoted to the well-being of others. Absolute selflessness. When we are in pain or feel like we have lost something, this type of love provides us with comfort. A wonderful idea is to build relationships with others around us. They give us the energy to face any challenge that comes our way. Find the good in suffering. It is a way to discover our actual purpose. Suffering. Suffering is an important element of existence. According to Viktor E. Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, he believes it can help him grow personally and find significance. Frankl believed that even amid pain, there might be purpose and dignity. It does not have to cause sorrow or hopelessness. Instead, it can demonstrate courage, perseverance, and inner strength. Even in the aftermath of catastrophe, a person's difficulties can provide significance. They can discover a reason and direction to keep going. True healing occurs when the pain has meaning. Frankl personally endured trauma in Nazi detention camps. He concentrated on his larger goal, finding inspiration to perform significant acts without losing hope. Suffering motivated Frankl to become more responsible. It allowed him to engage in valuable reflection and appreciate his own worth as a human being. Keep the will to meaning alive. Keeping the desire to find purpose alive is an essential component of human existence. This is discussed in Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl. Frankl emphasizes that one can maintain their desire to find meaning even in difficult situations. Frankl's concept of finding purpose in life is studying one's inner self to discover motivation and purpose. It is critical to have goals that provide direction and purpose, even during difficult circumstances. This can be accomplished by seeking opportunities to develop oneself. To continue the search for meaning, Frankl proposes that people reinvent their purpose and seek a new sense of meaning if their previous reasons are unattainable. This can be accomplished by devising novel approaches to achieve one's goals and concentrating on what can be controlled rather than worrying on what cannot. Frankl's own experiences as a Holocaust survivor are a vivid illustration of retaining the need to find meaning. Despite great hardship, Frankl maintained his sense of purpose by assisting others, aiming for intellectual accomplishments, and seeking beauty and meaning in small things. Man's Search for Meaning demonstrates that even in our darkest moments, we may discover meaning and hope by looking within ourselves and attempting to do good. What are the key takeaways from Man's Search for Meaning? The primary takeaways from Man's Search for Meaning are that surrendering to death is sometimes the only way to survive, that everyone's existence has its own meaning that the person must discover, and that adopting paradoxical purpose can help alleviate concerns. Furthermore, Frankl felt that people could and should find meaning in their lives, even at times of great sorrow. What role do labor, love, and suffering play in discovering purpose in life? Frankl identified 3 methods to find purpose in life: labor, love, and suffering. Meaning can be found by accomplishing something significant or meaningful at work, engaging in meaningful relationships through love, and viewing hardship as an opportunity for personal growth and development. How did Viktor Frankl deal with loss and severe depression? Viktor Frankl did not personally experience the loss of a spouse during his time in concentration camps, but he did meet an elderly general practitioner who was suffering from extreme sadness as a result of the death of his wife, whom he loved more than anything else. Frankl declined to offer counsel and instead asked the doctor what would have occurred if he had died first and his wife had to outlive him. Frankl pointed out that the doctor spared his wife's misery by dying second, but at the expense of having to live and grieve her. Frankl believes that suffering can be transformed into meaning, such as the significance of a sacrifice. What is logotherapy, and how does it fit into Man's Search for Meaning? Viktor Frankl developed logotherapy, a psychotherapy technique that stresses finding meaning in life in order to address mental health challenges. In Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl discusses his experiences in concentration camps and how they influenced his view on the value of meaning in life. He claims that meaning can be discovered in labor, love, and courage during difficult times, and that finding meaning in life is man's major motivator.